Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Wing Commander Anne O'Leary. We warmly welcome the family of Flight Lieutenant Lynne Rowbottom, whose story will be told shortly. We are honoured to acknowledge Air Marshal Leo Davies, Chief of Air Force, and Mrs. Rhonda Davies. Air Vice Marshal Tracy Smart, Commander Joint Health, Warrant Officer Robert Swanwick, Warrant Officer of the Air Force, and all members of the Australian Defence Force who are here today to honour Flight Lieutenant Rowbottom's service. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that continue to serve, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, by visitors, and by students on behalf of the following schools. From New South Wales, Mater Dei Catholic Primary School, Wagga Wagga. From Queensland, Glenvale State School, Toowoomba, and St Kieran's Primary School, Brighton. From Victoria, Dandenong High School, Dandenong. Please stand and join me in singing the National Anthem. Boys and girls, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flight Lieutenant Lynne Elizabeth Rowbottom. Lynne Elizabeth Rowbottom was born on the 25th of January 1962, the youngest of 5 children born to Les and Pat Eadie of Mowbray in Tasmania. She went to school at Invermay Primary School and Broadland House Girls Grammar School, where she excelled at languages, played the piano, sang in the school choir, and enjoyed sailing, hockey, and horse riding. After school, she was offered a scholarship to study teaching, but instead decided to follow her dream of helping others by becoming a nurse. In 1980, she began nursing training at Launceston General Hospital and Queen Victoria Hospital. She worked in intensive care and the renal unit, and in 1991 moved to Townsville General Hospital in Queensland, where she specialised in renal therapy. She was married to Terry Rowbottom and had 1 son, Reese. Rowbottom joined the Royal Australian Air Force as a nursing officer in 1996 when she was 34 years old. She had various postings throughout her career. In 1999, she was promoted to flight lieutenant, and by 2001 was posted to Townsville. In 2003, she served in the Australian Peacekeeping Force in East Timor as part of Operation Citadel. In 2005, Rowbottom was attached to HMAS Canimbla as she participated in Operation Sumatra Assist, the Australian humanitarian response to the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami. The tsunami, one of the largest on record, resulted in the death of an estimated 230,000 people in 14 countries bordering the Indian Ocean. Over 1,400 members of the Australian Defence Force took part in the massive international humanitarian response to the disaster. HMAS Canimbla arrived in the badly affected area of Banda Aceh in Indonesia on the 13th of January and began immediately assisting in the relief effort. Australians assisted in the aftermath of the tsunami by providing medical, transport and engineering support, and by providing tons of humanitarian supplies such as food, water and fuel. In March 2005, HMAS Canimbla was docked in Singapore preparing to return to Australia. On the 28th of March, a magnitude 8.7 earthquake struck off the coast of the Indonesian island of Nias. This earthquake did not cause a tsunami, but caused widespread destruction of buildings, roads, bridges, and other vital infrastructure. Roughly 1/3 of the buildings in the island's main urban centres were destroyed. Official reports listed 850 people killed and more than 6,000 injured. HMAS Canimbla was immediately deployed to the island to provide medical and transport support to Indonesian authorities in what became known as Operation Sumatra Assist 2. As a result of the widespread damage to the roads of Nias, urgently needed medical support could not reach remote areas. Canimbla deployed one of its helicopters, a Sea King designated Shark 02, to deliver medical teams and humanitarian stores to the island. On the afternoon of the 2nd of April 2005, Shark 02 flew towards Nias with its regular crew of 4, along with 7 medical and communication specialists from the Navy and Air Force. They reached the village of Tuandrao on the island's west coast and prepared to make a landing on the local football pitch. As the helicopter approached its landing, the aircraft suddenly pitched forward, causing the nose to strike the ground. One crew member described how 1 minute the ground seemed a fair way below, and the next it was close and coming through the cockpit. The helicopter flipped onto its back, fell to its side and burst into flame. 2 badly injured personnel were pulled from the flaming wreckage by local Indonesians. 9 other personnel, including Flight Lieutenant Rowbottom, were killed in the tragic accident. She was 43 years old and was survived by her grieving husband and son. On the 5th of April 2005, the Indonesian President posthumously awarded her the Indonesian Medal of Valour. Her name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, along with the other members of the Defence Force who died on operational service. Today, her portrait is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Lieutenant Lynne Elizabeth Rowbottom, who gave her life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.